obviously we want to talk about Donald Trump working at McDonald's, which is just arguably the best political stunt like in history, right? I mean, if my sound, Alfred, I'm always saying this, something weird about my sound, but anyways.
I really liked the whole pet angle too. I mean, I liked him saving the dogs and cats. I thought that was priceless.
When he walked out, there was like thousands of people like outside the McDonald's, and I saw one of the ladies had a sign that said "Cat for Trump." Oh God! But if McDonald's was smart, if God willing he wins, they should have like a whole month of a MAGA meal.
Yes.
Right? And then you have like your MAGA fries and MAGA burger, and instead of golden arches, it's orange arches.
That would be
right.
Fantastic.
That would be, guys.
He's gonna be their new Hamburglar.
It would be fantastic.
So, and our daughter works at McDonald's, so this is especially precious for us. And she's worked that fryer, and almost everybody gets burned the first time, but he managed it. He managed that fryer like a pro.
Really? So the fact that he did not get burned,
is
amazing.
Is amazing and impressive.
That's a right to pass. That's a right to passage working at McDonald's.
That's one reason why he should be voted into another round of being president.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic, guys. I mean the funny thing is you have the left going crazy, and then the people that have Trump derangement syndrome, they state the obvious, like they think that those of us that support Trump, like we don't understand that this was somewhat staged, if we will. Technically, yes, of course, they have to shut down, they have to have security, right? The people going through the drive-through, I'm sure that they had to be vetted.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean that the reaction is not real. I mean, these guys, I doubt, were like paid actors. If they were paid actors, the media, you think CNN wouldn't already know and have evidence about this?
For sure.
Everything with the president of the United States, even former president, everything's staged. Everywhere you go, it's staged because there has to be a lead team that goes out and sets everything up.
Right.
Gets everybody, like you said, searched or vetted. But he's organic in the way that he handles things. He does everything unscripted, as far as I believe.
Right.
And that's the best part about him. And he is hysterical unscripted.
Oh yeah, definitely. Alfred, play the first. We'll talk about this more, but we'll play the first clip here where he's walking into the McDonald's looking for a job. And the only thing I would have done different, I wish they would have officially hired him, like like had him fill out the application and like literally, send him to HR, like the whole deal. That would have been fantastic.
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Press wants to see this. Oh, he's a wealthy guy. He owns a lot of McDonald's. That's great. Thank you. Okay. Oh, I think it's good. Look, yeah.
Mr. Trump, what's your favorite thing to order at McDonald's?
I like it all. I like every ounce of it, everything. But I do like the French fries where I'll be working. I listened to Kamala. She said it was so hot. It was so hot. It was such a tough job. But then you have a man that's been doing it for many years at the French fries, right?
I want to learn everything.
I'm going to learn how to do it right now. Thank you.
Welcome here.
Hello, everybody.
All right. Yeah. So one of the, I don't know. Is my microphone working? Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Oh, I turned it down. That's fine. He used to do this at Trump Tower. That's what people forget. Before he was even president, this is not the first time that he's actually done anything like this. You could go on YouTube and you can find videos of him working at the hotels as like a bus guy, at the front door, serving people, working back in the kitchen. So he's like you said, Andy. That's the point I wanted to make. Is even though it's like technically yes, it's staged, but he's not fake. Like this is not uncomfortable for him.
The most important thing about Trump and what the left likes to do is say that he's running for himself, that he's a selfish man.
Right.
But if you were to follow his entire life, he does everything with everybody, the construction worker, like you said, to the janitors. He's friends with everybody. There's no way on earth that he's doing this for himself.
Right.
At this point, if he was doing anything for himself, he'd be at Mar-a-Lago and playing golf all day long. He really does love the little guy.
Yeah.
The people that do the hard work.
Right.
And so he laughs at Kamala when she says, "Oh, it was so hard," knowing She has no idea what it's like to work at McDonald's. We know that she's never worked at McDonald's, according to
according to McDonald's themselves. Right
now, Hedieh, you met Trump. You worked for Trump.
Yes, I actually worked for his super PAC for a while. So he's very personable, as he is, as he appears on camera, and he could be tough.
Yeah.
So yeah, my associate, the first thing he says when we went up to see him, he's like, "Is he working? Is he working as hard as he should be working?" And I'm like, "Yes, he's working."
He sounds kind of like me. Is my expectations with kids.
He had very high expectations.
Yeah, and the thing is, like you said, I think that what cannot be argued is that you can't make the claim that he doesn't relate to the people, right? Like you said, yes, obviously it's election season. Obviously he's pandering and trying to get votes. Absolutely, I'm not even going to argue. But like you said, that doesn't mean he doesn't love the people. It doesn't mean that he doesn't relate to the common people. You can't fake how comfortable he is, serving the fries, which we'll play the next clip. I think on the next clip, he's I think is this where he's serving fries?
Alfred Fryer.
And what's really cool is the guy training him. If you read the comments, everybody's just so impressed at how good of a trainer he is. So he probably changed this kid's life.
Yeah.
Right. And like I said, this is not easy. Like my daughter came home with a 2nd-degree burn the first time she operated this thing. Yeah. So,
as long as McDonald's has been around, they've never got this kind of press.
Oh no.
This kind of marketing. It's they really owe it to President Trump. They should be donating millions of dollars to his.
Oh yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. We'll see what happens to that franchise owner. He'll probably get canceled now.
Most likely.
The FBI is going to come after him.
Most likely. All right,
Yeah.
here we go.
Full timer going off. We're gonna hit the timer. We're gonna lift them up, hang them onto there, and then we're just gonna drain them. So we're gonna hold it here for around 10 seconds. We'll drain off them. We'll do these ones too. Come up, drain them. Probably 10 seconds. And then we're done. We're gonna lift this, 2 hands, drop it in. And then we can put all of our old baskets right over here, ready to use for the next time. Same thing. Hands, drop it in. Right there.
You always keep them separate.
Yeah, exactly. Don't want to mix the hold it together. Now we get our ice salt. Hold it over. You don't gotta shake it or anything like that. That's exactly what you need.
Wow.
And then like that. That's done. And then we start making fries. We grab the medium part, sides, bottom.
He's like paying attention. He's how attentive he is. Like he's really interested in the process. That's
And then,
right.
and he does take over at some point.
they're all filled up.
That's why he's paying attention. He's not going
That's
to
pretty good.
mess it up. He's going to do it forward.
Are we allowed to give any to the fake news? Hey, by the way, did you see the crowds out there? For the fake news. They've never seen crowds like that. Take you a long time to beat that one, huh? That's a lot of people. What do you think, Doug? That is a report back. There's something going on. Something's happening, Margot. That's not normal.
Oh yeah, and there's thousands of people outside right now.
I do. So you
Grab the basket. 2 hands.
Are we allowed to
And then
get
you
people
go
to
right
take
here on the left. Yep, slowly, right here. Slowly, gently lowered into the oil. Don't want to burn yourself.
Don't burn yourself.
There you go. And then,
Well, I guess if he had burned himself, the media would have just hammered him, right? Oh god, yeah, they would have made such a big deal.
Yep.
Right.
We're gonna put it right here. Lower slowly into the oil. Don't want to burn.
Well, this clip's longer than I thought, Alfred.
But
But I think we get the gist of it. We'll queue up the next one, but
There's an important part where he says something about when he's pouring it into the carton and says it doesn't touch the human hand.
yeah, that's what I wanted to get
And
to.
I was wondering if the kid said that, or he just knows from being in the kitchen at his own restaurants and his own hotel.
Well, no, if you could probably skip it a little bit if you want, Alfred. But I think he shows him the tool, and so as he's doing it, that's what I mean. When you pick up on those little nuances, it's like he's into it.
Yep.
Because the fact that when he starts actually doing it himself, he realizes, hey, you don't even need to touch it with the human hand. Like he's actually doing it. So he's actually present and in the moment,
Yep.
doing the job. I mean, this is not, I keep wanting to call him Barry. Yeah, Barry. Barry Soetoro, right? So Obama, he was actually pretty decent at this kind of thing, but he was a good speaker and was very good at speaking. He can kind of pull it off. He's a good actor. He was a good actor, but he was not this rich.
Trump is 100%. The one thing they're currently trying to say that he's cognitively declining after what we've been through the last 4 years. And this is very clearly a man who is fully aware of everything that's around him.
Right.
Most people could not. I mean, again, our daughter works at McDonald's and she's burned herself a couple times. So, and she's a smart kid.
Yeah.
But here you got a man who's just an amazing marketer, an amazing guy that reads the room and knows how to talk about the right stuff at the right time. He knows the cameras are on.
Yes, of course.
And so he, of course, doesn't want to make a mistake, but he also wants to make sure that people see that he's willing to do anything.
Yeah. And what's sad is that the current president of the United States could not do that job.
He couldn't make a Pop-Tart.
He would not have even known what the heck is going on. If Sleepy Joe would have been standing there trying to be trained,
he would have been afraid that he's going to burn himself.
I'm not even sure. I think Kamala would even do worse. I don't think she would be able to do anything right now. She can't even know how to respond to somebody that says Jesus is Lord, and she says you're at the wrong place. Like, how would you be so stupid to run for president where you're going to disenfranchise half of your audience by saying something so stupid? And not only that, she doubles up and then kicks the person.
Oh yeah, and we'll talk about that because obviously we're going to bring up the Catholic fundraiser that they had that she missed. But she is something special, man. I actually don't know what to make of it, Alfred. But what's funny is, to people's point, the people that are like, hey, this was all staged. Again, yes, I will concede that this is pretty well planned out, because if you'll notice that you have different ethnic groups represented here in the drive-thru, right? Like, what's the odds? I don't know. Pennsylvania,
an Indian person, that a Brazilian person,
or they can find an Indian person in a drive-thru in Pennsylvania. Is that common?
Right? It's like the only Indian family, right?
Yeah.
Well, if there's a motel nearby,
Right.
Right. Or the 7-Eleven. Ooh,
yeah. Are we allowed to say something?
Well, if was it Sleepy Joe that made that comment, or was it Obama? Was it Obama that said made the Indian 7-Eleven comment?
Yeah, who was that?
I don't remember.
I don't remember which. Well, they're both racist.
I think it was Biden.
It might have been Biden.
An accent. Then he tried to do the accent.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. But so what's really cool though is that, again, I will concede, right? I mean, I would concede that it was planned, but that's not the point. I have a hard time believing these are actors. These are genuine reactions and excitement that you see here. So let's do the drive-through scenes, Alfred, because I think they're fantastic.
Yep, let's do it. Here we go. So this is the one for that's the Indian. Okay.
Is this the Indian guy?
Yes.
Yeah. So check this out, guys.
I could do this all day. I wouldn't mind this job. I like this job. I think I might come back and do it again.
Thank you.
Look at that. Look at that. How are you?
Thank you, Mr. President. You made it possible for ordinary people like us to meet you.
You're not ordinary.
I mean, thank you so
You
much
are
for
not
everything you're
ordinary. I
doing.
can see.
We pray for you, and you are the type of person we want to be the president.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
So nice. Thank you very much. Yeah, I took a bullet. That's right.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Oh, the wife is the one that said it. Thank you for taking a bullet for
I
us.
could do this all day. I wouldn't mind this job. I like this job. I think I might come back and do it.
Yeah, there he is. It just goes into rotate.
No, that's funny. But I honestly really think he means it when he says things like that.
Mhm.
Like, he think he'd come back and do it again.
Yep. And then said, "You're not ordinary. It's an ordinary person. You're not ordinary. You're extraordinary."
Yeah.
That's and he just knows what to say. He's just a great dude.
Yeah. And you think about, like, I'm sure you guys have thought to yourself, like, what's it like for him at night? When he's at home. I don't know about you guys, but that's when all the stresses of the world and your mind doesn't stop, right? Like, you had a bad day or you're worried about something, right? And for him, there's always something every day, right? He's got everybody after him, right? They're trying to kill him. They're trying to put him in jail, right? They're constantly plotting and scheming. And yet I think this kind of thing is like what makes him worth it for him. Like, it's like refreshing, right? Like, I think he gets energy off of this, and also the rallies,
Yes,
I think
for
energize him. And I think that's kind of I guess like as a believer, right? Like you go to church and you get fed with the word and you're feeding the spirit, right?
Yes.
So I think that's for Trump is this kind of thing is like that. It re-energizes him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a bit of his energy or the way that he operates has bled over to some of the stuff I do. I battle the school boards right now, and the teachers unions hate my guts because I make tons of video to expose the nonsense that they're doing. And there's this. He seems to get fuel off of the hatred from the demons that are after him. Yeah. And if he can do that, I think that what I get from the school boards and the teachers union, I can surely fight back and get energized. But
he's teaching courage.
Yeah,
he's teaching the American people to have courage in the face of adversity, because what he's undergone legally, to the battles that he's undergone legally, and standing in his own defense and continuing to fight for the American people, is teaching us what it means to have boldness and courage and integrity and standing by the principles and wanting to fight for the country. And it makes the rest of us want to fight for the country.
You said integrity. What makes them so crazy is that he has so much integrity that they've not been able to find anything over the last 10, 11 years.
And just put yourself in your own position. Yeah. If the IRS went through every single receipt and tax return you've ever filed in your life, I mean, doesn't that send chills down your spine?
Listen, I got a ticket for speeding, like, okay? And that alone, that ticket stresses me out because I got to pay it, right? And then I'm already like, oh man, I got to pay this damn ticket and I got to go to traffic school.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm all stressed out over that. That bothers me already, let alone having, the Attorney General of New York trying to take your properties away, right? And people accusing you of, rape and all kinds of
They have to make up crimes. They have to create a crime. And it's so bad. They're so frustrated. They go, okay, well, let's go after Steve Bannon and we'll put him in jail. Let's go after General
Peter Navarro.
Peter Navarro. We'll put them in jail. They go, we can't find. Right. They're scratching their head. They go, how is this possible? Because they know who they are.
Right.
Nancy Pelosi. You don't have to go very far to find what kind of crimes that she's done. But you just can't find anything. They've looked everywhere. The CIA, FBI, DOJ, everybody's looked up. Is anything that they can find on them? Zero. They come up with nothing.
Oh yeah, no, it's insane. And Alfred, did we ever check to see if our sound is good with?
Yeah, everything's going good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, everything's good.
Maybe that's why they're not commenting. They can't hear us.
No,
well, it's on the.
I think somebody would have said something by now.
Yeah. Right.
Your mouths are moving.
Yeah. Hey, everyone, how's the sound going around over there, man?
Yeah,
let us know.
We should have asked.
Yeah, I guess we should ask. We're like, an hour in?
We just started talking. Yeah. But no, that's all good, guys. But yeah, no, 100%, guys. I absolutely agree with you guys. But yeah, let's play the next clip, guys. I think this is the next couple that comes in. Oh yes, the Brazilians. So we got the Latinos being represented here. There we go. So this is the next group of actors coming up here. So what do you got? What are you doing, Alfred?
I'm doing the share.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. It's just got stream here. You got to do the.
Oh, you got to click there and click that.
Right. And it's like, all right, here we go.
We trust you, Alfred.
Oh, thank you. We're trying.
A lot of fun here, everybody.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Look at all the fake news over there. Hello, everybody.
You can fake this, right?
And this is compliments of Trump, okay?
Yes, thank you. Mr. President, please don't let the United States become Brazil, my native Brazil.
We'll keep it good.
Please.
We're going to make it better than ever, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure, Mr.
Compliments
President.
of Trump.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you over there. Have a good time. Nice to see you. Bye, darling. Have a good time. Thank you.
Oh yeah, that is just hilarious. To me.
Precious.
Oh yeah, and they're so excited. I mean, can you imagine pulling up to the drive-thru and like Trump's having you fries?
So great.
That's got to be the best selfie you'll ever take in your life. It's hilarious, man. But yeah, go ahead.
We do have the other one.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
You have one more?
Yeah, we have
one more. Well, let's play the next one.
Because this one goes.
I just think each one of them is so unique. Let me see. But I think if this is the couple, there's something that I know. That's the last one I heard.
Okay.
The people in the Jeep. You don't have them?
Yeah.
Yeah. These guys right here. See if you guys noticed something on this one that I kind of caught.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And there'll be no charge. Trump is paying for it. Is that okay? 2024. Oh, you're doing some extra stuff.
Oh, okay,
This is all on Trump.
Oh, all of Trump.
I'm allowed to do that, right?
Yeah.
Huh?
Let's check and make sure it's
Okay.
everything you said it would be.
It's better be. It's going to be the best you ever. I made it myself. Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you.
You made it
Have a good
myself.
time. Have a good time.
Oh, I don't know if they showed it. I don't know if they showed it right, unless I just missed it, Alfred.
Next
But
car.
it's okay. You don't have to replay it. But what I noticed is that oh, this is that other guy. This guy was a little weird. He might have not been an actor. This guy might have been. I thought this guy might be a Trump hater, but he's not. Just because he doesn't look that. No, he just wasn't that excited about it.
Okay.
He's like, give me my fries. Are they cold?
Yeah.
I want new ones.
I'll see you at the White House.
You have to wait.
You're at the White House.
He got it, bro. I'm telling you. I mean, like Andy mentioned, man, he knows where the camera is. I think for the most part, right? He's an actor. He's not a politician, but he knows where the perfect angle, what to say. I don't know if you guys notice and catch this, but multiple times it's all on Trump. It's all on me. I got you. And then at the end, I like really what he said. He said, "I'll see you at the White House." You know what I mean? Like that really just reaffirms, like in his mind, he's really there. You know what I mean? And I think we're seeing people lining up just to say good things about the president. I think it's a good rap. It's a good thing for him. Yes. And I think he takes full advantage of whatever he can get. And think about, he did not have to spend a lot of money. How much is Kamala Harris spending on her campaign?
$1 billion.
On her media campaign. I mean, she's busing, wheeling people to the same places. I mean, she's going into bringing, even that, there's been sayings that, hey, there's actual readings of cell phones, right? The same cell phones and the same locations. I mean, come on. I don't know if that's true, but I'm telling you, she's spending a lot of money in her campaign. Donald Trump just happens to partner up with different organizations like McDonald's, and look, free promotion.
Yeah, Dan Bongino says it all the time: snapshots and sound bites, and that's what he's great at. He's great at finding those. He goes to the football games, go to the UFC fights. He goes to McDonald's, and he finds those opportunities to find something that'll go viral very quickly. These McDonald's clips, that shot of him standing in front of the window and waving outside the window is just it's classic. When he got shot, when he stands up, it says "fight, fight, fight," and they grab that shot with the flag in the back. I have 4 T-shirts that have that shot on it. Yes. It's just so remarkable what he can come up with.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And like to your point, Kamala's having to pay. It's a lot more expensive to bus people into your rallies than it is to buy people fries.
Yeah,
at McDonald's, right?
Yeah.
So
she brings Lizzo over, who's probably ate way too many fries.
Right.
That's what she's got. That's all she's got. Like, who's Lizzo? What does she do? I don't even know what she does.
Don't put it up on the what does Lizzo do, guys? Don't put it up.
She's a singer.
Yeah.
Okay, she's a singer.
Yeah, Lizzo's a singer.
Oh, who knew?
Yep. Well, the people are saying the sound sounds fantastic.
Oh, okay, good.
Awesome.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you, mind if I take over the show just 1 second?
Sure.
Yeah, go
So
for it.
Hedieh has a great insight on the deep state and some of the nonsense. But when
being a member of the deep state, my career.
When the Brazilian lady was saying, "Don't allow them to turn our country into Brazil," we're knowing what you know about behind the scenes and what they're trying to do, that we're not that far.
Yeah, the problem is we've turned our national security apparatus against the American people, and there's people in our country that have decided that the conservatives are public enemy number one. And when you have that large and sophisticated an apparatus that was meant to catch Islamic terrorists now turned against the American people, we're in trouble.
And you designed most of that. Thanks a lot.
Unfortunately.
So do you watch the Sean Ryan show? I'm sure you do.
Occasionally.
All right. So interesting. Okay. Because what you just said, he had a guest. I wish I remember his name. And you probably don't even know the guy. If you created the program, then you probably know who he is.
There's about 10 of us who did.
Okay. Yeah. Well, he actually talked about that. He talked about the apparatus that was used and intended to go after terrorism has been turned into the American people. And it was actually in the context of them talking about Brazil and what's going on over there.
Yes.
These are apparatuses that were typically used apparently to, prop up leaders in other countries
Oh, that's that's another wing of it. So we have $1 billion industry that the US State Department did with Soros, the Open Society, to topple governments and to put new governments in there. The entire Arab Spring was organized for the most part through the US State Department. Right. Basically to promote democracy, let 1,000 flowers bloom. If we give them freedom, they'll love us. It didn't work that way at all, because what happened is the 100-pound gorilla in the room is the jihadist, and they just took over and massacred the mainstream sects that couldn't fight against them. And now we have complete chaos in the Middle East, North Africa. A lot of that was done by the US State Department.
Yeah, what this guy mentions too, and I don't know, maybe you could speak to this, because man, I'm actually pretty excited. I got somebody that can actually ask to see if these things are true. Is he was talking about the problem. So when they prop up leaders in other countries, they're looking for somebody who's going to be friendly to NATO friendly leaders.
Sure.
Right. And I guess one of the big problems with Trump, because he was talking about DeSantis, the difference between the deep state backing somebody like a DeSantis versus Trump. DeSantis, he does a good job on domestic issues, but he's pro-war. He's not a threat to
the military industrial complex.
Exactly. And Trump is. And so that's where he was talking about that's the problem they have with Trump. They'll be okay with somebody like Don DeSantis, because Don DeSantis isn't going to, he's not going to be a disruption to the military industrial complex. He's not going to defund the military. He's going to go ahead and get us into wars and do all these things. Trump's not going to do that. He's not good for business.
Well, I tell the story often that when you work in DC, when you're part of the mechanism, it didn't matter what party you were in. When we were Republicans and there was a Democratic administration, we would go sit in a think tank and we get grants to write the reports out of the think tank, and they would be somewhat critical of the government in power. And then we would just do a little switcheroo. We were all the same people doing all the same work over and over again. And so I guess that's what we now describe a little bit about what we mean by the deep state, is these mechanisms and people in place and money and funding that just continues no matter who's in the White House. Right. And so those millions of dollars that are getting allocated, let's think of the refugee resettlements. We talk about the Haitians that are in, what state is it?
Dearborn.
Haitians, with the whole cat story and animal story. What state is that?
Isn't that Michigan?
Is that Ohio?
No, it's Ohio.
Is it Ohio?
It's Springfield.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Springfield, Ohio.
Yep.
So whether it's them or it's the Venezuelans in Aurora, Colorado, these are refugee resettlement zones. There's hundreds of millions of dollars passing through American NGOs to resettle these people in those areas. And that is not going to change no matter who's in the White House, unless Trump comes in and wipes out huge programs that are run by America's wealthiest companies.
And the Catholic Church.
And the Catholic Church and the American Red Cross and the Salvation Army. Right. And these are huge people. And these are evangelicals too that support him. And so to cut off these mechanisms is extremely difficult. But that is why they were so against him. I mean, I was at the FBI headquarters and my friend Sebastian Gorka was at the White House. I was not allowed to walk over to the other side of the street and meet him in the White House. So we had to meet off campus, and Seb basically says to me, it's an insurgency. We're literally fighting an insurgency. And I was like, what?
Okay, so now I know somebody that knows Sebastian Gorka, because I got a bone to pick with Sebastian Gorka. So I actually used to watch his podcast show when he first came out.
You got mad at him for something?
Well, yeah, because pretty much for me, after the election took place, and maybe you don't agree with me. We'll see. That'll be fun. Is the election fraud, right? So after the election in 2020, right, and you had Giuliani going out there, with I can't remember the lawyers that I forgot the whole team. They were out there challenging the elections, going into all the different battleground states, right, going in front of the the election officials, right, and trying to get them to see the evidence, right, and getting to count ballots, and talking about the machines. So Sebastian Gorka during that time, and he's not the only one. I mean, I'll say the same thing for guys like Rudy Giuliani, Hannity, a lot of conservative podcasters and media members. I think for me, the ones that pretty much jumped on the there was no fraud train, or there's no evidence, or didn't really want to talk about it, they just became suspicious to me. So Gorka is one of those where I'm trying to remember now, but like him, if you even mentioned that the machines were hackable, to him it was just ridiculous.
Me and Andy used to fight over this issue.
Okay.
To this day, we still fight over it. Well, because it's.
So you disagree with me? I want to know.
They were connected to the internet. That's all you need to know.
That's exactly Andy. All right. So Andy.
Yeah. See,
Yes.
see, when you work long enough in the government, you're a little jaded by what people outside the government think can happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know that's where Seb comes from. So when you watch how the bread is made and somebody says, no, I know there's sugar in that recipe. And you're like, listen, there's no sugar in the recipe. Then you just stop talking at that point because you realize the person does not understand how this bread's made. And okay, you could introduce a new factor into this equation, but for the most part, those of us who've been in the system say that's just not how it works. And so even knowing the court system, Trump lost most of those cases. And the reason a lot of them were lost was because he didn't win any of them.
Many of them were never heard.
They were never heard. How do you lose something?
Well,
okay.
Well,
so
you technically lose it because you don't have standing.
All right. Okay. So I agree with you. I think the issue is, and maybe you can educate me on this. One of the arguments that I've heard is where people are suspicious of his legal team, right? That they were not actually making the right arguments and purposely bringing these cases to the court and knowing that they would have no standing, right?
Like, I don't know how you do that. Like that's
well, I mean,
ridiculous. You got to be pretty stupid to.
Well, if you're part of the deep state and you're just in there, look, one thing we know,
crazy to know that there's anything's possible at this point.
Well, if one thing we know for sure about Trump, he surrounded himself. He's a poor judge of. He's not good at hiring people. Okay, I mean, am I wrong, Andy? Do you agree or disagree?
He trusted some people. He doesn't obviously do all the hiring himself, but I'm sure he was trusting some of the people that were already in place that they were going to do the right thing.
Okay, so
if you were a Republican, you thought, well, they're going to pick the right person, but we know that's not true because there's so many rhinos.
Remember, we were this mechanism. Those of us that were on the periphery, we were there for decades. And so when Trump comes in, is like, I'm gonna bring Joe from New York City. We're all like, what are you? You can't bring Joe from New York City. First of all, he doesn't have a clearance.
Yeah.
And that's going to take you months. And that's exactly what he ran into. So everybody knew on the outside that he tried to get an SES clearance for, he could not.
Yeah.
And so the whole system started to collapse. And so everybody on the inside was saying, hey, so-and-so at Heritage is good. You could trust them.
Yeah.
Bring so-and-so. And some of those were not trustworthy because they were what you all call rhinos. So they were part of the military industrial complex. They weren't willing to do things. And then some of the things that he wanted to do were, quite frankly, a little bit crazy. And so people in the
Give me an example of what you would consider something that he wanted to do that was crazy.
Trying to fire a bunch of civil servants. You can't fire civil servants.
Why not? They're servants.
No, but they have contracts. They have contracts. And
Okay.
you'd be embroiled in lawsuits for decades to come. You can't just fire federal civil servants. You can't.
Well, so what do you think? You've heard Vivek talk about this, right?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Get me started on
here we
that.
go.
And I don't know.
Vivek.
Okay. So I
God first. What God? What God are you referring to, Vivek?
No, right. Yeah, exactly. I know. Aside from the
Who's God?
yeah, aside from that, where he talks about firing what is it?
70,000.
Yeah.
It's some ridiculous number.
So I mean, is
Absurd.
okay? So what he's claiming
It's absurd.
It's not true.
No.
Cannot happen.
No.
Can you find them other jobs to do?
You could move them. That's what everybody in government does. Is you're like, this person is horrible. Let's move them over to the Department of Ed. Yes, if you could find a lateral move, but then you're just filling them in another department that you don't want filled with bad people either.
Well, I mean, we can make them janitors.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying.
No.
Right?
No, because
Why
they're on a
not?
pay scale. They're on a GS scale.
Okay. How?
So like, for example, when I'm at the Bureau, I'm at GS 13. You can't put me in a GS 7.
Okay.
My contract says I'm a GS 13. You can put me in a lateral move at a GS 13, but you can't put me in a GS 7.
There's got to be some loophole to this where we can actually make a janitor position what is it? A GS-17?
What if the toilets are in the skiff? If the toilets are in the skiff,
Right.
you would need a GS.
Right?
GS7.
7, whatever.
Which one is it? Which one do we need? 13 or 17?
You want them down to 7.
Okay.
If you're trying to take a 13 and executive down to a 7,
Okay.
then they need to have posts that is, you need to make a lateral move.
We can make it a lateral. We create a position that will be very unpleasant and that will fire, right?
Yeah,
I think that's the loophole.
A lot of people did. So I know a lot of people that were senior executives in the Department of Homeland Security and at the FBI who left because the Trump appointees made their lives hell.
Yeah,
on purpose.
I believe he'll be a lot
So he
smarter
did
this
make
time. He'll be much smarter.
Well, I hope so. He was on where was he being interviewed? PBD. PBD interviewed
that's a
him.
great interview.
Yeah, and I think towards the end, PBD actually asked him. He asked questions in a very creative way, right?
Super smart.
Yeah, and so essentially, the bottom line question was, what happened the last time, and what are you going to do different? And that Trump really, I think that was one of his best answers. He pretty much did admit that he wasn't for Washington, he didn't know anybody, and he had to trust people. My concern is that up until as recent as him endorsing Speaker of the House Mike Johnson.
Mike Johnson, yep.
He still hasn't learned his lesson. You know what I'm saying? So that's what doesn't give me confidence that he's learned his lesson this time around, because he had the opportunity to endorse Jim Jordan, but he did not. Right? So when you were about to say, what he could have,
the system doesn't move.
The problem,
you're up against the Titanic.
The problem that I have with that argument is that, again, he could have endorsed Jim Jordan, and we would have a Speaker Jim Jordan.
Yep, I agree.
Was it really the case though? Did he get the votes? Did Jordan get the votes?
Mike Johnson didn't get the votes the first round either. I believe he went, or did he get the first?
People didn't believe that Jordan can get the votes. That was why.
Well, don't you think that if Trump would have publicly endorsed him, he would have got the votes?
More people knew Jim Jordan than they knew Mike Johnson.
No,
right? Like nobody knew who he was.
The reason Mike Johnson got it was because some of the Democrats supported it.
No, Mike Johnson. Mike
Johnson got because he had the support of some of the Democrats,
which should cause you to have some concern.
Yes. and
I know you guys want to set the system on fire, but it just doesn't work that way. It just won't.
It can. It works like that in the private sector, and we all just get fine, right?
And I mean, I tell you, that's why I could just picture Trump sitting in these meetings in the military with the DOD, being like, seeing the Boeing contract that sells an airplane that should cost $300,000 for $2.5 million, and him being like, why the hell are we buying a $300,000 airplane for $2.5 million? And I'm like,
well, he actually did do that when he, that's exactly what happened.
Well, but a lot of those contracts you can't cancel. You can't. They're funded by Congress. There are line items in Congress's budget, and it's been passed by the people, and it's been passed by Congress. You can't just cancel it. It's not the private sector.
Well, no, I think isn't there a difference between Congress approving a certain dollar amount and actually spending that amount? Because when he became president the first time, that's when they actually they paid for Air Force One, and I think he got it for much cheaper. So even though Congress might say, okay, we're going to go ahead and approve, X amount of dollars towards a budget to replace Air Force One, I want to say he's still the administrator.
That was discretionary for Air Force One.
Okay.
But when you're line items, but when you're in line items over military spending, those are all allocated by companies and by contracts that have been in place for decades.
Okay, well then we need to burn them all to hell. All those contracts.
And they're paying back favors for campaign contributions.
Lord, you don't even know how bad it is. I've written the same report like 6 times, and I've gotten millions of dollars for the same report. Like you just keep doing the same things over again.
Talking about the gas station that was never built.
Oh we were in Afghanistan, and I was serving under Ambassador Khalilzad, and the USAID came to make a presentation about hospitals and schools that were in Kandahar, and they're this beautiful PowerPoint presentation, and this cost this $1 million, and this is the state of the art system. And then he looks over and he's like, that school doesn't exist. And they're like, I'm sorry, sir. What do you mean the school doesn't? He's like, I got in a plane and I flew there. That school does not exist.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, no, it exists. It literally went back and forth screaming for about 10 minutes. And then they discovered that half of the reason these places were so dangerous to travel to that our folks assumed that the work was getting done. But between the contractors and the locals and all of the infrastructure not being built, they actually never built 80-90% of the things that they said they paid for and built and had pictures of, but they never renditions. Existed. They just didn't exist.
They didn't exist. Jeez. Well, we even at a low level, I guess the best I can relate to how government budgets and spends money is, I was a high school softball coach for one season. I was the varsity coach. And then I could not stand the bureaucracy of the local school system, which I'm sure I did watch a couple of your podcasts, but now for a second, I'm like, what's this guy's problem with the school board? but I remember them telling me, because I was, had to buy equipment, right? And like I'm like, I come from the private sector. I'm trying to save money here. You know what I mean? And then they tell me the athletic director, she's like, hey, if you don't spend it, they'll cut your budget the next season, and you actually might need that money. And then so now you're just finding stuff to buy,
junk.
Right? And I'm just like, this is the problem.
Beef jerky.
Well, this one, my dear husband is a federal contractor. He's an expert witness testifier, and he wasn't getting paid when we first met. He was rarely ever getting paid, and I was kind of like, what's going on here? He's like, I don't know, I'm working my ass off and I'm not getting paid. And I was like, this is so strange, because I was a federal contractor, I know how this works. And I was talking to his secretary, and I was like, hey, can I see your billing? And she didn't know what she was doing. She just wasn't submitting the bills properly. Like, if you don't have the contracts in place and you don't have a countersigned document and you haven't put a set amount and you haven't agreed on that amount and you perform services before that contract signed, you're out.
Yeah.
Never get paid.
he was never getting paid. So it's not easy. You got to know the system.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
It reminds me of the what they're doing right now at Georgia, right? You guys got to make sure you guys check on the thing, right? They just implemented something with the voting right machine. And then now you got to do it this way. You got to make sure you click on the check mark. Imagine before they used to just highlight it, press on it, and whoop, you select it. Now that you got a check mark. Imagine how many people don't know about that.
Right. Exactly.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. So I saw somebody comment about they used to work for the city.
Yeah.
And then bad employees. Basically, the stories we.
Yeah, like we never built our reservoirs or the high-speed trains. Exactly. That's a classic example. Those high-speed trains that never got built.
And the other issues too is just like you said, being able to fire people. My sister's a principal. It's funny because I relate to this guy. I complain about the school system all the time. Especially because my sister's a principal and my other sister's a teacher, and they're both conservative, right? So when I come home, so there's times where I'll go over and visit, and they just tell me all the craziness. My sister, she'll be frustrated because she just has the worst teacher in the world, but she can't fire her. She doesn't have the time. It's too much work for her to do all the paperwork that are required. Yes. She's too busy dealing with so much other nonsense. And it's sad because in the meantime, right, you got this teacher that's not actually educating children.
It's horrible.
And another pet peeve, man, we're going on all kinds of stuff. Another, you guys are getting the best out of me right now because these are all things that I talk about. The other thing is, how they criticize the Catholic Church about, justifiably so, the pedophilia problem that they have.
Absolutely.
Isn't it interesting that they never talk about the sexual pedophiles, yes, in the school system. I mean, in the school district that I'm in, I'm not going to throw them under the bus. It's almost like, not exaggerating, every other year. They recently, a high school teacher, the FBI arrested him in front of the school in the morning as he was coming to work for pedophilia, right? 2 teachers were arrested.
It's horrible.
So this is common, right? But I just find it interesting that teachers don't have the same stigma. Am I wrong, Andy?
No, that was a sex crimes detective at Anaheim Police Department.
Oh, there you go. See?
And there's nothing worse or nothing that causes me more anger than the sexualization of our kids in public school.
Right.
And it's just it's a sign of the the illness of what's happening in our public school, that they think that it's totally fine to sexualize our kids, to put pornography in our schools, libraries, to teach in our schools over here at Placentia, Yorba Linda Unified School District at El Dorado High School.
I'll put them up.
They had.
I'm over here like I'm not going to say anything.
They had a teacher actually teaching the class how to masturbate anally with a vibrator, and they filmed it and put it out on social media. And she might not have been. They couldn't fire her. They moved her.
They moved her to the art room.
They moved her to another room, they call it the rubber room.
Yeah.
And but everybody seems like, what's the problem with that? She's a great teacher. She's a fine person. And then you wonder how it is we get pedophiles as teachers. And
Andy always says, he's like, if they would have done this in the private sector, I would have arrested them.
Yes.
But they can do it in the school and not be penalized.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be that bad.
Yes.
No.
You know what I'm saying? I'm sure at work, I mean, any position you're in there, right? I mean, even if a guy were to ask a girl out on a date, probably you're in big trouble, right?
Yep.
Right.
I mean, that's why you don't even go there in the private sector. But
I had several cases of men giving pornography to kids to start the process of grooming them so that they could molest them later on. And we would arrest them for showing pornographic magazines to a child.
Right.
Essentially, it's okay if you're a teacher.
Right. And if it's in the school library, right?
Yeah. It's like, oh, well, that's okay.
Insane.
We could do that.
Yeah.
And then we're the crazy ones. They call me an extremist. They call me a Christian conservative extremist and a nationalist, and just go after me. I get the nastiest emails sent to me from teachers and librarians saying that we're burning books.
Oh, you should advertise those.
I put it all out there.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because if I was in that school district, if this was going on, like if this was the reason I can't say because my sisters work there, so I'm not trying to get my sisters fired. But if that was going on in my school district and there was somebody like you with names, like I'd want that on, like I don't know.
It was the kids were DMing it to people. Like all the kids were posting it on Instagram. What happened to the teacher?
Yeah, but you have a list of names, right?
I do.
Okay, because to me, so for me, listen, as a parent, if there's teachers that are out there sending you emails, it's not about you. It's the fact that these teachers are defending pedophilia. They have a problem with a, law enforcement individual, right? Going out there and calling out pedophilia. They don't like it. I want to know who those people are. I'm not saying they're pedophiles themselves. But for me, I want to know who are the teachers are that are actually yes. I want that list of names.
They're not pissed at the teachers or the principals that are hiding it. They're pissed at me for exposing it.
Right.
And they spend tons of money attacking me. And they followed my wife and I to church the other day and handed me a cease and desist letter demanding that I retract what I have put out there on social media. So what I did was made a video about the cease and desist letter and why they were wrong. And so they haven't come back to me since. Like Hedieh was a little concerned.
But this is not something that, I mean, because look, I'm like a 95, 90s. Okay. That's when I was in high school in the 90s. And so even back then, before it got this bad, I mean, one of the teachers that was at our school ended up marrying the student after she graduated. Right. So obviously, I mean, that's normal. I mean, guys on the chat, you could tell. I'm sure everybody on the chat can tell a similar story.
Absolutely.
Right? So this is something that's been going on for a long, long time. And for some reason, I guess my thing is that we haven't put a stigma on teachers, because you have that with, again, priests, right? Now you hear priest or Catholic Church, you're like, oh, they associate with pedophiles. I just believe that the school system probably has far more pedophiles than any Catholic church out there. They have more access to kids.
The teachers have done a really good job of making sure that if you speak out against it, that you hate teachers.
Right.
So if you speak out against the teachers union, they say, oh, you hate teachers.
Right.
The teachers union is completely separate from teachers.
Oh, of course.
And they are protecting the few.
Right.
There are probably 90% of the teachers are fantastic.
Right.
But you have this 10%.
Right.
That is really nasty, dirty, filthy people.
The teachers union is like the worst thing for students. I mean, they do not care about students. I mean, necessarily because they are the teachers union. They are there to protect those jobs and, really collect money and funnel it to the Democratic Party. But yes, supposedly everybody would agree that that's the whole premise of a teachers union, right? Is is to protect the job and make sure teachers are getting their insurance and their pay. So, you know, they're not there for the student, regardless how you look at it, right? They're there to protect the teachers, supposedly. But it's when you see these ads by the teachers union where they're like, oh, you know, support this proposition, you know, because we want, you know, what about the students? What about the children? They don't care.
No.
What the heck do they care? They don't.
No, it's like anything else. I compare them to the pharmaceutical company.
Yeah.
The sicker people are, the more money they make. We're 40th in California. We're 40th out of all the states in education.
Right.
We're 49th in safety of children in our high schools.
Sad.
And so, we pay the most taxes of any other state.
Yeah.
We have the most resources of any other state.
Yeah.
And yet we're failing our children.
Yeah.
But it's because of the California Teachers Association. That is the main reason. Their interest is not in our kids. It's in about making money and having power.
You know, I was over in Monument Valley, Navajo Nation last week. Was it last week, Alfred? Or 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. And so, you know where Monument Valley is, right? You guys ever been to, you guys aren't outdoorsy people? No, you're too busy playing with the deep state to get out of nature. So Monument Valley, it's a Navajo Nation. It borders Arizona, and you guys seen the movie Forrest Gump, right? Where he's running,
Yes.
and then he stops and he's like, "I'm tired now. Think I'll go home."
Yep.
Right? That's Monument Valley in the
Okay.
background. Anyhow, so that's in the Navajo Nation, and one of the towns there. What I noticed is the local high school had security. The high school was fenced in, and they had a guard shack to drive in. I'd never seen that before. You know, I was tempted to drive in to be like, hey, wait, like, what's this about, right? But I'm like, I don't want to get in trouble because if this really
That's
is security, yeah. But it was all fenced in, and it was a gate, and they had a shack, and I saw a car drive in, and it stopped at the shack. So I'm assuming, oh, this is security. They're not. You can't just drive in there. You got to go past that shack.
That's great.
So, and interesting because that is a Navajo Nation who's supposed to be broke. Right?
Yep.
I mean, they don't have any money. Well, they have casino money, but
yeah, I was just gonna say, don't they have casino money?
depends. Well, I don't know how much Navajos get casino money, but yeah, I mean, they're not. They at the very least, we know that they actually value their safety of their students,
Their
Right.
children. Yep.
Yeah. So interesting. But what do we got up, Alfred? We're gonna move on from the McDonald's team because these guys took me on a awesome adventure.
Blame it on us.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
I didn't even have Hedieh tell you the Gaddafi story.
Oh gosh, you know what? You guys are gonna have to come back, man.
They must.
They got some good stuff. We're not even gonna queue anything up. We're just gonna sit here and we'll keep going.
We've been an hour and 10 minutes and we haven't even touched the 3-4 videos, man. You guys just
It's
been
okay. You know what? I want to play.
unscripted. You know what I mean?
Right? I want to play this one here because first of all, it's funny, and then that'll get us into the whole Catholic cardinal here that I have a big problem with. Maybe you guys agree. I don't know.
Okay, so we're gonna do.
But yeah, so let's play, guys. We'll play the little highlights here from Trump over at the Catholic fundraiser that Kamala Harris. I mean, how stupid is this woman, right? Like,
Is it stupid or is it intentional?
No, he's a moron.
I think she's not. Okay, this is what you know. What? Okay, so supposedly there was some report that she was yelling at her advisors because they advised her not to go there.
Mhm.
Right. So my thought is, okay, really she's making it up because she's that stupid and she's trying to blame someone else. But then it wouldn't surprise you that she has a bunch of weird woke people working for her
A lot.
that
And
are
so-
telling her like, you're not going to no Catholic church.
And again, a behind the scenes look at how these work. There is staffers that are in specialties, right? So
Mhm.
whether it's national security, domestic issues, church, there's staffers that are probably under the age of 30
Yeah.
and have the life experience of a peanut.
Yeah.
And they're basically making decisions on her behalf. And so she probably has the last word on what she's going to do, but the amount of information that gets filtered before she actually sees it is probably quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if there's 15 kids, literally 15 kids that made that decision.
Oh yeah. Some 20-year-old college student.
Yes.
Right.
Staffers.
They just got out of their, social justice class.
Yes, exactly.
Or their,
I tell people all the
humanities.
time, Congress is run by people under 30 years old. Like the fate of the world is determined by a bunch of 25-year-old staffers.
I believe that because when I went to the Capitol and I went into the Capitol building, and you do the whole little
It looks
tour
like a
thing.
frat party.
Yes, Yes, exactly right. Exactly. You took the word right out of my mouth.
There's no
And they're
old
drunk.
people anywhere to be found.
Yeah.
You're like, where is the actual congressperson? You just
Right.
occasionally you'll see them pass in a hallway.
At 25, I was as a police officer. Even when I would go to these events where a lot of these people would be, they couldn't wait for happy hour. Their whole day is like, okay, we got to get this done because happy hour starts at 4:00. We need to get out of here.
And because they don't make any money either, because they're paid like $15 an hour.
Yeah.
So they need happy hour.
All right. Well, let's play the clip because this is going to end up being a 2-hour podcast.
Yeah, I love it. Bring it. Here we go.
That I'm supposed to tell a few self-deprecating jokes this evening. So here it goes. Nope. I've got nothing. I've got nothing. There's nothing to say. I guess I just don't see the point of taking shots at myself when other people have been shooting at me for a hell of a long time and they shoot at me. I know this isn't my normal crowd tonight.
If you look at him, he can't even.
It's not my normal crowd. Believe me, my normal crowd is younger, has a lot more energy, but you have certain advantages too, like cash, lots of cash. But many of you are Manhattan liberals from the media and the Democrat Party. I always say the Democrat, Chuck doesn't like that. He likes Democratic, and it sounds much more beautiful, the Democratic Party. I always say the Democrat Party because it sounds worse.
Look at Chuck.
If you're not making $158,000 per year,
This is why we
but
need
you'd
to get to like,
I
subscribe.
strongly encourage.
Yes, help us out, man.
Yeah.
Help us out.
So we can justify paying for yeah.
It is true. He likes Democratic. Why don't they just change the name? This way, it is Democrat. But I must say I was shocked when I heard that Kamala was skipping the Al Smith dinner. I'd really hoped that she would come because we can't get enough of hearing her beautiful laugh. She laughs like crazy. We would recognize it any place in this room, and all polls are indicating I'm leading big with the Catholic vote, as I should be. But I don't think Kamala has given up yet. She hasn't. Instead of attending tonight, she's in Michigan receiving communion from Gretchen Whitmer. That's not a pretty sight. But Catholics, please don't be too insulted by Kamala's absence. If the Democrats, he says, thank you very much, I appreciate it. If Democrats really wanted to have someone not be with us this evening, they would have just sent Joe Biden. He's having second thoughts, you know that, right? He wants to come back. If she does any worse in the polls, they're going to bring him back again, I think. Chuck, he's going to do it. He's the one that got him out. That's the guy. Much more so than Crazy Nancy, I will tell you. Because I know him. He did it. Joe has almost disappeared from view. The only way he could be seen less is if he had a show on CNN. They had nothing. They've got nothing. Fake news, right? Fake. Someone in the White House who can barely talk, barely put together two coherent sentences, who seems to have mental
Look at Chuck.
faculties of a child, it's sad. There's a person that has nothing going, no intelligence whatsoever, but enough about Kamala Harris. Let's get on to something. I know Kamala's word because she spends a lot of time complaining. I won't agree to another debate. But the truth is I've debated twice this year, once against Joe Biden and once against David Muir of ABC. It's been a long tradition for both Democrat and Republican candidates for president of the United States to attend this dinner. It's a rule. You got to go to the dinner. You got to do it. Otherwise, bad things are going to happen to you from up there. You can't do what I just saw on that screen. But my opponent feels like she does not have to be here, which is deeply disrespectful. I've never liked people that I was competing against. When you do, a lot of bad things happen. And we are doing well. By the way, the votes are starting to come in. You got to get out and vote. And Catholics, you got to vote for me.
The way you
Just remember. You better remember I'm here. and she's not. I could have done that too. But you do something that's incredible, the Catholic Church, you're helping the poor, educating children, and supporting the vulnerable. But if you really wanted Vice President Harris to accept your invitation, I guess you should have told her the funds were going to bail out the looters and rioters in Minneapolis, and she would have been here, guaranteed she would have been here.
Chuck does not like
Guaranteed.
that.
The last Democrat
Chuck doesn't move.
not to attend this important event was Walter Mondale, and it did not go very well for him. He lost 49 states and he won one, Minnesota. So I said, there's no way I'm missing it. Actually, it was not easy for me to get here tonight. Because I wasn't going to miss this thing, no matter, I didn't care. I wasn't going to miss it. But that's true. Walter Mondale, 49-1. He was expected to do well, and it didn't work out. It shows you there is a God. I mean, for those people that are questioning, I understand the real reason that she's not here is she's hunting with her running mate, spending a lot of time hunting.
Oh, man.
In any event, it's a weird. You know the word weird. They call me weird. They call JD weird. We're very solid people. This guy is calling us weird, but this was weird that the Democrat candidate is not here and with us tonight. Senator Schumer, good. Yeah, I supported him. I was,
Let's move along.
He used to say that's true, and now I'm not sure, but I gave him a speech.
Yeah, but
I've been
from an office and
oh my goodness.
yeah, it's too long. But yeah, guys, man. So there's no way that Kamala could pull something like that. Did you guys watch the little clip that she sent in?
Yeah.
I didn't watch the clip.
Oh, you did not watch it?
No.
That you're not missing. It is. I don't know. I'll let Andy talk about it.
Yeah, it was just one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. What I heard is that comedian who was on Saturday Night Live was thought to be one of the worst people that they've ever had on that show. Mm-hmm. So the thought that somebody picked her to do the video with, where her funniest thing is she puts her hands under her armpits and smells them.
Right. Gets on one knee and yells "superstar" or something like that, right? Dude,
it made no sense.
It made no sense. And then she goes on this whole little tirade about like, we need to vote for a woman.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just like, it was
nothing funny about it.
Oh, it was horrible. And then afterwards, they play the video and like the crowd in the room, they made this weird sound, kind of like, what? Yeah, like what was that? It was just so it was the worst you could. It's like you couldn't even. I couldn't even try to be that bad.
Right?
She's that bad. It's crazy.
It's from another era. You're talking about 1990. You know, it's complete different. And you know, this lady's what, like 60?
Yeah, I mean, she just turned 60.
Yeah, trying to talk to the new generation, and I mean,
it's with her fake accents.
Yeah.
Which accent was she doing?
And I think like we were talking about before that we played the clip was, you know, how it's a young crowd. You could see how, you know, her big thing is the whole pro-choice, right?
Yep.
So how can you? I really think that they feel like she goes on there, she's alienating that pro-choice vote.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
I think
that you cannot go to a Catholic event.
Correct.
I think it's intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I mean, it may be stupid, but it's still intentional.
Right. And then that was it the same day or the next day when we're not going to play the clip, but she's at her rally, right? And you have a guy, you know, yelling Jesus is king. And she's like, you're in the wrong. It's like, how?
And double down.
Yeah.
After it.
Like you literally just
down the street. Meaning Jesus needs to go down the street.
Right.
You know, Jesus is everywhere, lady, in case you didn't know.
Yeah. It's just, she's dumb as a rock. See, she obviously has bad advisor, but at the end of the day, she's the one making the decision. Yeah. What's not dumb?
That's not dumb. She did that intentionally. Yeah. It's the wickedness.
But she's
wicked.
But does she have to be?
Did you see her facial expression?
Okay, so
her facial expression was wicked.
Oh no, I understand. I mean, the woman's a demon, no doubt about it. But I would think that she would at least have the intelligence to understand. You literally just committed probably the worst decision by not going to the event, where now you got roasted the whole time. There was a press conference with the Cardinal where before the event where he's talking about the fact that she's not going to show up and how disappointed they were. She's the only one not there. So you know, she had to have seen the backlash that from that her not being there. how are you not self-aware enough to know, like, okay, I'm not, the last thing you're going to do now is tell a guy that's yelling Jesus is king to go somewhere else. Like, that's just dumb.
There's always a lot of people,
calculated.
but there's always a lot of people yelling stuff, but no matter what it is, like, we love you, what have you. And she simply just could have ignored it. She just could have just not said anything,
right?
And then continued with her speech.
Exactly.
That would have been way better,
right,
than what it is that she said.
Well, you're assuming that she was caught off guard and that her response was stupid. But to me, I think it's calculated. Again, counting on the people who are anti-God. That she's won over. I mean, because look, when she said it, she could have easily just moved on and been like, oh, but she's like, you need to get out and go down the street. I mean, she was enraged.
Yeah, so I think you're making the argument that she's stupid because that is stupid. That's what I'm saying. So I'm saying she's stupid, sorry, and you're disagreeing with me.
I get really frustrated when people think our enemy is stupid. Our enemy's not stupid; they're calculating, and they are intentionally wicked. And we need to have a strategy to combat wickedness. If we just dismiss them all as stupid, we become unarmed.
But Hillary Clinton is just as evil,
right?
But she's not.
But she's not stupid, right?
She wouldn't have done that.
I agree.
Me
and Andy are on the same page. You're in trouble right now because I was about to say.
You have this fight all the time. This is like dinner conversation.
I'm so happy to have somebody on my side.
Yes.
No, shocking that it's another man.
Yes. Well, because we have common sense and rationalize. Yes, we're not. Well, I'll speak for myself. I did not. I only graduated from high school. Okay, so I could think for myself.
Street smart.
Yeah, I'm street smart.
Yeah.
But no, I agree with you because that is a pet peeve of mine. I don't like dismissing people or the enemy or the left or the Democrats as stupid. Not even the rhinos, but I would say with her specifically, she is stupid. Like he said. Like Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, they're not stupid. They're smart. Yeah. Okay. I mean, they're plotting and scheming. The Anthony Weiners, all the crazy rhinos. I mean, aside from the fact that he did that stupid video, right? Like, you're that stupid. Like, I'm not, full disclosure, I'm not a pedophile and I'm not a rapist. But like, if I was, like, I would do my best and not have any evidence, right?
Arrogant.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it's so normal. But anyhow,
but she recorded that video with that comedian, and then I've recorded videos, and I get to the end, I go, you know what, I'm gonna redo it.
Right?
I go,
like that was not good. I'm not gonna put that out there.
Come off the way that I wanted to.
Right?
I'll even edit the whole thing, and then realize, you know what, at the end, I go, after all that work, 2 hours of editing, all that kind of stuff, I say I'm not putting that out there because it wasn't good.
Yeah.
She still put that out though. I mean, she's in charge.
Exactly.
She's running for president.
Right.
And she said, you know what?
Yeah, she's definitely not the sharpest tool in the shed.
Okay,
but you. I just think
I'll take that.
I just think no, but
not even sharp.
But let's say she's stupid. But do those comments that she said about Jesus reflect her stupidity or her wickedness?
I would say both.
Okay. I'll take both.
Because she's in these meetings where they're telling her that abortion is our number one issue.
Right.
That's the one thing
it's the only thing we can win.
And all she hears is over and over and over again. But when she's at a rally and she hears somebody say that, she's only thinking, oh, they told me that it's the number one issue. So I have to respond. A smart person would say, okay, in our meetings, I know what we say, but out here in front of everybody in cameras and everything to be recorded, you'd be smart enough just to not say anything.
Yeah, like Obama, Obama was smart, right? We understand that Obama agrees with everything, right? But he pretended to be a moderate. Yeah. He was smart enough to not, like, they played a clip of it. He did the same thing happen with him where somebody, Jesus is King, he didn't tell him to leave. Even though, he was like, get the hell out of here, you Jesus lover, right? In his mind, but he was smart enough to not self-aware.
Engage. Yeah.
Right.
And you have that story. We want to tell the story about his feeling about faith.
Well, we were at a meeting before his Countering Violent Extremism Summit to talk about Islamic extremism, and there was 5 of us, and it took about almost an hour. And it's just 5 of us briefing, and him and a couple of staffers. And after listening to our passionate plea to basically be tougher on Islamic extremism, he's like, "Listen, I don't get religion. I'm a humanist. I'm not going to let people drag me into a war over this." And so after all of that, we're just like, "You don't get religion? What exactly does that mean? I don't get religion."
So that's in a closed door meeting, I'm assuming. Yes. But you wouldn't see him do that in a rally. You wouldn't see him say that out in front of it because he's smart.
He's smart.
Kamala would have said,
I get the whole stupid angle. I absolutely get the whole stupid angle.
So we won. We won, Andy. We won. I'm just kidding. Victory.
The best thing for a woman is to know when to surrender. Literally, that's our superpower.
Now that's
know
smart.
when to surrender.
No, but no, I agree. I agree with what you're saying. 100%. It is a problem. That's actually, I think I've talked about this, right? I don't like it when people just dismiss these people as being stupid and
then we don't strategize against them.
They're not stupid. They've been this successful. You know, they've been so successful that we have pornography in school libraries. That's pretty impressive.
Argue to remove pornography from 6-year-olds from kindergarten.
Yeah.
Like we're literally on the opposing side to try to get it out. So who's the stupid one?
No, exactly. I'm saying that it's impressive.
You're right.
It's absolutely impressive.
Tampons in boys' bathrooms.
Yes.
Right. Exactly. I mean, they're so good that now we're questioning like genders.
Bastards.
I mean, and so yes, I get your point, but in her case, she literally is stupid. And yeah, exactly. Because I was on the fence, but I think after this week, because I was like, I was questioning, is she really this stupid? Is she? But I think after this week, I have to conclude that yes, she's really this stupid, because especially with like you said, the video, you could have looked at that thing and be like, no, this is dumb. I'm not doing this. The other one was, yes, being, like you said, she could have ignored the guy. And this is in the heels of her not going to this Catholic event.
Right.
And you have to, they know, I mean, these campaign managers understand the demographics they have to win. Right. So,
and the money that they could gain, lose by not at least acknowledging the importance of being somewhere. We were at an event with Judge Janine Pirro the other day where she was speaking, and that she just could not bring up Kamala's name without stopping herself from saying something.
Cussing.
Oh, really?
She could not stand her. So that's just the funniest thing about these, the people that know. Judge Janine Pirro is really good friends with President Trump.
Yeah.
We just learned that their family kind of grew up together, and call her Aunt Jeannie. Aunt Jeannie.
Yeah.
But she just finds her so difficult to even comment about her name without wanting to call her moron.
Oh, yeah. No, it's incredible, guys. But, man, you know what? Oh, man, we're going to abandon everything else after, because we actually
abandoning the Catholics?
I mean, do you guys
we're
want
no better than Kamala Harris.
Yeah. Yeah, we were going to talk to this article, because my whole point here, I'll just make this point because it's been bothering me ever since. And that, I don't know, do you guys disagree with me? I understand the spirit of the event is to unify, right? And bring both sides together, which I don't disagree with that, right? But the problem is that the differences now between conservatives and Democrats is not just disagreements in policy, right? It's not like, oh, you're pro taxes, we're, against, high taxes. You're high regulation, I'm against, or small government versus, big government disagreements. But this is now, to me, if that was all like back in the 80s or the 90s even, right? It wasn't this wild. But now we're the Democratic Party, the Chuck Schumers. You have like Letitia James in there. All these crazy Democrats that are in there. They literally are absolutely everything against Christianity, and that includes Catholicism, right? They are pro-choice, which means they want to murder babies. They're actively funding the murdering of children, passing laws to legalize it, right? Demonizing anybody who wants to protect children. And they redefined marriage, right? What Catholicism and us Christians believe marriage is, and they're redefining genders. So at what point does the Catholic Church say, you know what, we don't want to take your demonic money over here. This is, I mean, if you guys go back and actually watch this thing, the Cardinal sitting next to Chuck Schumer, and they're like buddies, and I don't want to come across again, there's a difference. I think there's they've entered a different realm. Do you guys disagree?
No.
Okay.
I mean, Pope Francis made a public comment saying that all religions are a path to God.
Right.
That's the Pope.
Right.
So when you claim that that Allah is the same as Jesus Christ and our Lord, and the God that we believe in, you've led people straight to hell.
Right.
Because you basically have divorced them from the opportunity to ever have salvation. Why would you do that? You've just damned 1.2 billion people to hell, and so at this point, I don't know how close we can say that Catholicism is to the authentic teaching of Christ.
Right.
We used to just think of ourselves as two separate schools of thought, different traditions and things like that, but it looks like it's going off the reservation. And interestingly enough, do you remember the controversy of the FBI doing the memo against radical Catholics?
Oh, yes. Did you write up the memo? I remember. I know what memo.
God. But I did a lot of research on it. Yeah. And interestingly enough, so that division, I knew nothing about Catholicism. I just researched it and was basically trying to understand why were they being targeted as extremists. And it is, so what the groups that they were calling radical were the ones that did not accept the latest conference of Catholicism, which is adopting all of these practices. So they're trying to undermine the traditional Catholics and what they describe as the ones that go to Latin Mass, because they do not accept everything that Pope Francis has introduced.
Correct.
And so it's literally our own government trying to undermine the ones that are trying to maintain tradition so that they can give rise to the popular form of Catholicism that is ecumenical,
right?
That is allowing the equality between the religions. And
I have a friend
it's a
who
huge problem.
Oh yeah, I remember you're reminding me now. Yes, their problem is with the Latin Mass Catholics that are very similar. A friend of mine, shout out Robert. Actually, I don't know if you listen anymore, but maybe not. I don't know. He's a younger kid. I actually really like him. I've known him for a long time, and he texts me all the time. And so he went from being like an atheist, and then one time we had like a family party. And he's all excited. He's like, guess what? I'm not an atheist anymore. I'm a Christian. Oh, and then I'm like, I'm all pumped. But then he's like, oh, well, I go to Latin Mass. I'm like, okay, well, that's one step closer. Close enough, buddy. So it's funny because he's always like trying to like convert. I'm like, dude, I grew up Catholic. Like I actually went to Latin Mass as a very young kid. I remember vaguely. And then went to like your more traditional Catholic church. Obviously as Latino, we all grew up, and then, I was saved like 11 years now. But yeah, so it's interesting having these conversations with him. But yeah, he's introduced me a lot more into the Latin Mass crowd. There's that, what's his name? Dr. Marshall. You never heard of him? Okay. No. So he's a Latin Mass Catholic, has a podcast. He actually ran for president, actually.
Seb's a Latin Mass Catholic. So Steve Bannon.
Yes.
Not Charlie Cook, the other guy. Dan Bongino.
Yep.
Oh, Dan Bongino's a Latin Mass Catholic?
All those guys.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Okay. But it's interesting because, and then you have, if I'm not mistaken, then you have like.
Isn't it interesting how the Catholic Church criticizes Protestants for having different denominations yet?
Right? And it's interesting how some of them are falling off.
I don't know, guys.
Falling off the rails.
I'm not trying to be a Catholic hater, but guys, that's one of the things my buddy Robert's like, you have all these different, I'm like, bro, you have your Latin Mass.
Yeah.
Okay. And then down the street is a non-Latin Mass church. Like, oh, you can't use that, bro. Like, anyhow.
The Catholics remind me of what Tulsi Gabbard and Robert Kennedy Jr. say about the Democrat Party has left them.
Yeah.
I have great friends that are Catholic. I was raised Catholic that love God.
Yeah.
That I believe that feel like the leadership of the Catholic has completely left them. And is no longer within the faith because they have gone so far woke and left.
Yeah, the Latin Mass Catholics, they are definitely more biblically based. If you talk to a Latin Mass Catholic, it's almost like talking to a Christian believer because they actually read scripture and they will quote scripture. And it's like, oh, wait. Then you find out, oh, wait, you're not a Christian? Right. That's crazy.
And you ask them, did Jesus Christ die for your sins? Like, is Jesus Christ your method to heaven? And they say yes. And so you're like, okay, so we're brothers then. You know, we were believing the same God and believing the same things. You may have a reverence for Mary that I don't understand, but
yeah, that's where it gets tricky. But yes, I don't disagree totally for our Catholic listeners. I don't fully subscribe to you're damned to hell because you're Catholic. I think the criteria is that yes, Jesus is your Lord and Savior. Exactly. But it does get dicey when you involve other, Mary and other, be careful there. But
we just talk to Jesus.
Yeah, we'll just go straight to the source. But anyhow, it's all good, guys. Well, this was actually, I got to tell you guys, this has been the funnest podcast I think we've done.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, it has been.
Yeah, it's been fun because you guys bring some pretty fun stuff, and obviously I have so many more questions. So hopefully you guys will come back and if you guys come back, we're not even gonna plan anything. We're just gonna because Andy's like, tell him about this, tell him about that, and I'm like, yeah, please tell me more.
The Gaddafi story is a good one.
Yeah,
Camel parts and Gaddafi. It's a great story.
Yeah, and honestly, I could spend hours asking questions on just one thing. That's just how I am. But I kind of wanted to
We covered a lot.
Yeah, we covered a lot. How long have we been on now? For 2 hours?
It's been an hour and 33.
Oh, okay. No, that's not our longest. We've gone 2 hours.
You're cutting into our TV show time where we watch our TV shows.
Yeah, guys.
This is cuddle time, as our friends call
It's
it.
our cuddle time.
Oh, is it really?
You're cutting into Andy and Hedieh's
Remember, we're
cuddle time.
newlyweds.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've been married for I better not screw this up. Well, my wife actually doesn't watch the podcast.
Goodness.
But I've
Hedieh
been
doesn't watch my stuff either.
no, it's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been married. I think it's my 20. It is my 25th in May.
Wow.
25 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
we're
awesome.
we're high school
I
sweethearts.
thought you were
until
25.
15. Oh, thank you, sir. Yeah. Yeah, I know.
High school sweethearts. See, it's like
Yeah.
our kids.
Yeah.
It's, our oldest Kelly is been with his high school sweetheart for 3 years now. We suspect they may get married too.
Oh, well, hopefully it works out great for them. It's not easy, as you guys know, but definitely, if you have a good, strong foundation in Christ, then you get through it, right? Because it
Amen.
gets hard.
They both love Jesus.
Yeah, so that's good. That's a good thing.
Yep.
But yeah, guys, fun conversation, and you guys
Can we pray for you?
Well, sure, but before we do that, do you want to let the people know where they can find you guys on your podcast and
Yes.
Socials.
So all of our content is on Resurrect Ministry. That's a singular with a Y, resurrectministry.com. And our podcast, the YouTube channel is called Living Fearless Devotional. But again, you could find a link for it on our website. And another feature, just to mention, is we have a comment section. Anybody could drop us a line, ask us a question. I counsel a lot of parents whose kids have left to join Islam for one reason or another, basically trying to help them navigate that
that's
relationship.
another podcast, guys.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we're happy to help.
And don't forget your book.
And I have a book coming out at the end of the year, Living Fearless in Christ.
So now I gotta hear a bunch of stories of your ministry with these kids, because there's got to be a lot of cool stuff there.
So many amazing stories.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll have to come back.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah. Close us in prayer.
All right.
What?
Definitely.
Yeah,
I thought
you're
you were gonna
amazing.
do it.
No, you have amazing prayer.
Yeah.
I cannot top your prayer.
Yeah.
Oh, Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity to come together with our brothers, and to all the listeners, Lord. Give us strength. Give us the strength to preach the gospel boldly, Lord. May we be your hands and feet in the salt and light, Lord, and bless our country. Bless President Trump as he moves the path to victory, Lord. We love you. We give ourselves as a living sacrifice, Lord. It's in the mighty name of Jesus that we pray.
Amen.
Amen.
Awesome.
Amen.
We should end the podcast.
And we should.
Why don't you pray for me?
I will. I will definitely do that. All right. Thank you so much, everyone.
All right.
Stay tuned.